What's up, Aaron, Kennedy, and Looney? Smash the like, hit subscribe. We've got a very interesting show to watch here tonight. I think, it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a bit different than we've been doing. We're just going to roll through some of our other pages, and that's what we're going to do. So let's get right into what we're going to be doing. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember to smash the like, hit subscribe. We'll get right into it here. Good to see everybody. We'll get to the keyboard in a moment. Some of these shows are going to be more interactive, so I can't always be on the keyboard. Anyhow, thank you all for joining. Let's get into the show. Let's kick this off.
You want to know how the secret societies run the world?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's a Leviathan of three levels,
Okay.
and each level has three parts.
Who's the top level?
The top level is mining, metal, and money. Okay, and you think about it, it makes sense. If you control the mining that the metal comes from, that the money's based on, you're in a really good position. I mean, I had an author that could affect that position, and he first came at me with a book about gold mining, but it was like, I don't know, 1,000 pages, and it was just when I first got started publishing, and I didn't, I said, I know nothing about gold mining. And so he finally got it published someplace in Poland, and then he came at me later with a thinner book, and he had the support of a professor from Stanford on it, and it was called Calling All Angels. And I said about the death of his great aunt Jane Stanford. And I said, okay, well, I'll publish this book for you, Stephen Requa. And we got it out, and he was dead in 7 days. Okay, he got run over by a hit-and-run lorry in London. And I mean, this guy, he was a mining engineer. His daddy was a mining engineer. His granddaddy was a mining engineer. His great-granddaddy was a mining engineer, and one of the 49ers, part of the Comstock Lode, and president of the Central Pacific. Okay, so this,
All right, let's get into something else.
The host of Power and Politics and the House was taken off the air Monday after CBC managers became aware of information in this Toronto Star report. It alleges Solomon partnered with art collector Bruce Bailey and used his journalistic contacts to broker art deals with prominent people like former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney, who appeared on his show, and former BlackBerry.
Mark Carney's a bomb. So is Evan Solomon. What a lazy
co-CEO Jim Balsillie, with whom he interacted as a journalist. The report claims Solomon collected a 10% commission on sale.
In the 70s, the Canadian government chose a town at random. It seems to genuinely have been random. It's a town called Dauphin. And they said to a big group of people in this town, we're going to give you guys, for the foreseeable future, we're going to give all of you a guaranteed basic income. We're going to give you the equivalent of, in today's money, $15,000. There's nothing you can do that means we'll take it away from you. And there's nothing you have to do in return for it. You're citizens of our country. We want you to have a good life. And this was studied very carefully by a woman I interviewed called Dr. Evelyn Forget to see what happened. And loads of interesting things happened. People spent more time with their kids. Very few people quit work, but a lot of people turned down shitty jobs. So actual overall work standards improved because employers had to attract people with better standards. But for me, the most interesting thing is there was a huge fall in depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety that was so severe people had to be hospitalized fell by
in 2025, I want to say October, maybe even earlier than that, a couple guys, this guy right here, they started working on saying some of the stuff in the Bible is hate speech. Okay? Truly. Some of the stuff in the Bible is hate speech. And here's what he had to say. Go for it, Rob.
In this case, the Bible, but there are other religious texts that say the same thing. And somehow say that this is good faith. I mean, clearly there are situations in these texts where these statements are hateful. They should not be used
in the Bible.
Blasphemy. Or be a defense, and there should perhaps be discretion for prosecutors to press charges. I just want to understand what your notion of good faith is in this context where there are clearly...
Yeah, when you have a country without a constitution, this is what happens. I mean, they don't have the First Amendment.
Let me read this, and then I'm going to come to you. Let me read this, and I'm going to come to you. So you're hearing this, okay? So here we go. Canada wants to make quoting the Bible illegal. This is The Spectator, 2 days ago. Easter's almost here, and Canada's Liberal government has chosen the sacred season to display its utter contempt for Christianity. It's currently forcing through the outrageous Bill C-9, which could make it a hate crime to quote from the sections of the Bible. More than 40 civil and religious groups have asked that for the bill's language be clarified and its scope more carefully defined so that religious texts would not be subject to hate crime legislation, but all in vain. After a hot debate in the House of Commons, the Liberals high-handedly ended a conservative filibuster. In fact, fast-tracked the bill. It's now been sent to the Senate to decide if Canada is a kind of a country that wants to turn quoting St. Paul into a criminal act.
You look at Canada during COVID, they were going after churches like crazy. And again, I think this is bigger than politics. I think it's spiritual. I think that Canada has an attack on truth across the board. The world is seeing an attack on truth across the board. Tom has been touching on it. And I think it's a spiritual war. If you can destroy the idea of gender, if you can just...
This is Vancouver. This is the art gallery on Friday, Good Friday, Christian celebration. And it looks like Robert Ages is over here to try to take over the little symptom of...
Doesn't look like Easter very much.
Craziness. Robert, you got anything to say to me today? We've never met before. You know me? You know me, but you won't talk to me? We never had a conversation. No?
Imagine thinking you represent your own Christ.
Sorry, buddy.
What did she say?
Just get it out of my face. No. No, I won't get that out of your face.
These are just a few names.
100%. Why are you so upset?
Thousands and hundreds
I'm not
of
upset.
thousands more.
You're upset. No.
Take a minute in silence.
Yeah, here come all. Here's the other boatard from fucking UBC that tried to hurt me. From Sailor Seas. All my friends from the Sailor Seas, the Salish people, they don't like you. Here he comes, everyone else. God bless. He's calling Chris over. Call Chris over. I just saw you give him the finger. Just asked you a question. You didn't like it. You're hyperventilating now because you know who I am. Because I'm a good communicator. But you have nothing to say? Didn't think so. It's really sad that you're here today, causing this.
Seems pretty pathetic. I'm not sure.
She's gonna get hit by a car. She's gonna get hit by a car.
All right. Lady with a blowhorn. Let's see where it goes. Where's good? You're blowing down. Oh no, it's good to go.
Get out! Watch my back. Watch my back. I got you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Hey, check out Vero Ice.
You seem to be having a lot of problems. Like you talked about people that said a white boy couldn't rap. I guess there are a lot of battles you're experiencing. KRS-One said that you present a distorted mutation of rap. What is that? I'm not sure what that means.
I have no idea what it means. I read the same article. They also said that, you know, I'm bringing rap music to an audience that has never heard it before as well. So, you know, whether I like it or not, it's bringing rap.
Look at that haircut. Whew, that's great.
Music up, you know. I mean, I'm putting it in front of people that never even considered listening to rap music.
Yeah.
And now they're considering it. And
yeah, Vanilla Ice doesn't get enough credit for his contributions to rap.
And it's bringing rap music up. You know, rap music is here to stay.
I've always said that. What's going on here? This is in China. Those are a couple of Chinese guys. What's going on? Haymakers. Big punches, man. Those are bombs. Those bombs are missing, though. Let's see what happens later on. Oh! That's not good for anybody. I'm not a big fan of that shit. It's over, boys. Oh my God.
What is your name?
Give me your hands. Give me your hands.
I want your badge numbers.
Give me your hands.
Give me your badge number.
Give me your hands.
Give me your badge number.
Give me your hands.
Jesus. That's enough of that.
Close with Werner von Braun. Walt Disney and Werner von Braun did a lot together with studio production, space travel, all of that. Okay, hear me out. This is wild, all right? So why can't they reshoot the moon? What if they can't go back because they really did lose the technology to film it looking like that? This is the area I know a lot on. You've never heard me discredit the moon landing because of shadows or photography or why can't we see the stars? I'm not a photographer. I know about production. For me, it was the tilt up as they left and then everything else, all the logistics, sending a live broadcast from the moon. The early.
Do you guys think they went to the moon? I want to believe they did.
Attorney? You normally have like an attorney? I've never seen that before. So call an attorney when you get
Attorney shield.
What?
It's attorney shield.
One more time.
Attorney shield.
Attorney shield?
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know what that is.
App that you can download. People can use anytime they have an interaction with law enforcement. And we're just a service provided that we can help people navigate through traffic stops, answer any questions, inform them of their rights. And it's our goal just to make all interactions with law enforcement as quick and safe as possible for everybody involved.
Okay, so you're not like his attorney, you're just a attorney.
I'm an attorney, and I am his attorney for the duration of this call because it is a paid service.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
You're going to service for traffic stops?
Yeah, it's like you call the attorney and be like, hey, yeah.
Oh, so what? Like you guys, where you guys based out of?
It's a lot of face tattoos.
Because obviously the hours.
Yeah, we're all over.
So.
Just saying, like, if you have a face tattoo, nice, but don't get any more.
So how do you, so if a person wants to, get an attorney like this, you have to put in a request or like what, like?
But the truth of it is you are here because of God and because of you. And I just wanted to share this thought and pray over President Trump. Jesus taught us so many lessons through his death, burial, and resurrection. He showed us great leadership, great transformation requires great sacrifice. And Mr. President, no one has paid
let's check
Philippe
this
Champagne
out.
has been on a
CBC's
trade mission in
on
China the last 2 days, aiming to advance economic relations. Lisa Xing with more from Beijing on what was achieved.
Lisa Xing with more
Finance Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne wrapped up his second and last day here in China, meeting with Chinese banks and financial policymakers, including Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng, who is the key decision maker on financial files and in trade in the Chinese government. Now, Champagne also officially launched a working group with financial institutions, really to set parameters on how to increase trade and partnerships between Canada and China. That was promised by Prime Minister Mark Carney when he visited in January. He, for his part, said that this visit helps to reinvigorate the relationship between Canada and China after years of being at a low. Now, it's difficult to ignore U.S. President Donald Trump in all of this, considering it was his financial policies that drove countries like Canada to seek stronger relationships with China. And Canada is in a bit of a special position, essentially sandwiched between two great powers. I spoke with an expert who talked about his view of what Canada plays, the role Canada plays in all of this.
We hope that at the end of the day, Canada will become more independent, even with
Institute of World Development. Give me a break.
China's assistance. Canada might become more independent in his own way, and then Canada can make its choices on the basis of its own interests, not to abide by only the rules set by its big brother.
So really the purpose of these meetings is to get the bilateral relationship back on track. Now, these efforts are happening as Trump himself is slated to visit China in mid-May, hoping to make a deal of his own. Lisa Xing, CBC News, Beijing.
Down there in
He went down. My friend Jesse Michaels went down there and actually touched them. That was the first video. He was in the room while they were doing the scans. He said it's so strange. He said it feels so surreal because it's so obvious that it was a real living thing.
I don't understand how that's not like the lead story in the news sometimes.
Everywhere. Yeah. And meanwhile, they're arguing over everything.
Yeah.
Everything else. Everything, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Can you believe what's going on with Turning Point USA? They found aliens.
I know.
They found alien bodies. Like if you ever wanted alien bodies, show me a body. That's an alien body.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's not us. So maybe it's from here and went extinct, or maybe it's in the ocean.
Or the congressional testimony of like high-level whistleblowers being like, we have these... whatever, this ship, whatever you want to call it, and then it's like in a congressional testimony, everyone's like, that's cool.
Where do you guys stand on aliens? Do you believe in that stuff?
Affordability is the best it's been in over a decade.
What a retard. I
Carney
love this guy.
and appeals for a majority government ahead of the by-elections. And let me interpret this for everyone who's watching in plain English. Doug Ford is now actively and openly campaigning for Mark Carney.
Doug Ford's a bum.
To obtain a Liberal majority. This is a Conservative premier in Ontario praising our Liberal Prime Minister. He stands beside him at press conferences, privately advising him to call an election to lock in a majority and helping him spend nearly $14 billion of your money in a single week. Conservative MP Jamil Javani called him a hype man for the Liberal Party and a problem for Canada. Guess what, guys? He was right. Ford said that the government had a spending problem. He said the government had a spending problem. Then just a week later, he tabled the biggest budget in Ontario history. $244 billion.
Doug Ford is a schmuck.
From the day it starts. I mean, just be accountable for your dollars. I mean, it's just common sense. I mean, I'll get fired up about this pretty quick because it's ridiculous to think people can support something that's so ridiculous. It just blows me away.
For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini here in Indian River, Ontario.
Check out Rebel News. Big fan right here. They're all over the place. Rebel News, put it into Google. Subscribe to their channels.
Just east of Peterborough, Ontario, to take in a Pierre Poilievre press conference at this farm called the Indian River Cattle Company. They've been the purveyors of this land for over 200 years, a generational farm tending to the land, raising cattle, as the name alludes. And today, the press conference will be focused on coming out against the Alto high-speed rail, the Liberals' $90 billion bullet train mega project, slicing through corridors across Ontario and Quebec to connect Toronto directly to Quebec City with a mandate of 5 stops along the way. So we're going to take in the press conference, talk to some of the farmers here, and see what it's all about. Have a listen.
The $90 billion Alto project is another example of a ridiculous pie-in-the-sky liberal spending initiative that only got worse under Prime Minister Carney. The Carney Liberals are forcing every family in Canada to spend 8,000 tax dollars on a project that 2/3 say they will never use. If it ever, and by the way, that's $8,000 per family of 4, if it stays on budget. And if it ever gets built, the Carney Liberals plan to force families to pay higher taxes every single year into eternity because it is expected to lose money forever.
You know, we don't know exactly where the route's going to be regardless, so it could possibly...
And Carney dodges his taxes, like tax havens down south. Come on.
Possibly like dissect this farm right in half, which would be disaster. But even another scenario, if it goes north of us or south of us, it's going to, you know, we have farms that we rent and we pasture everywhere. So it's going to impede our progress going one way or another way. And we want to expand. My kids are both here. So if we have a rail line...
We're not going to get hung up on any given story, but here's Prince Charles. Listen to this.
Are present in all fields of human endeavor,
It has helped to create modern Europe. It is part of our own inheritance, not a thing apart. Islam can teach us today a way of understanding and living in the world which Christianity itself is the poorer for having lost. Our judgment of Islam has been grossly distorted by taking the extremes to be the norm. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a serious mistake. It is like judging the quality of life in Britain by the existence of murder and rape, child abuse and drug addiction. The extremes do exist and they must be dealt with, but when used as a basis to...
I'm king of the world! Jesus.
The New Democratic Party of Canada, and they had their like annual fucking retard convention. And it was like a no kings protest, except you had to pay to be there. So, and it was just a bunch of, people with the keffiyeh and the fucking, and the lady running it's white, lesbian with the like trans Hitler haircut. And she's up there being like, point of privilege, point of privilege. And there's like some fat, retarded Asian transgender person being like, oh, so I had my privilege card revoked because I took a shit in the wrong bag. I don't know what they were
doing this. Then we're going to take 50% of what you earn and we're going to use it to raise public school teacher pay. Our public school teachers are not getting paid enough. We're going to use this as a resource to fund the empowerment of young women who have signed up to do something dignified, with all due respect, unlike you, and be a public school teacher, educating, inspiring, and motivating.
Do you know what, James?
The next generation.
You know what? Here's what I would say. I've got to end this debate. Here's what I would say. I've listened to both of you, and you both made good points. But honestly, that last statement you made was so pompous and patronising. Honestly, who are you to be the great moral arbiter of what young women do with themselves legally in the United States? Who are you to say if you become governor, you're going to take half her money in a state where they don't have even state income tax? It's like there's a real arrogance to this, that you've decided you are the moral arbiter of every Floridian. And it may be why you're trailing so badly in the polls. And Sophie, the good news for you is don't worry about it, because he's not going to win. So you're not going to end up giving Mr. Fishback any money for his plans, much as...
I got pulled over by cops leaving our Billy's, and they thought I was undercover.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys know who Shane Gillis is? He's one of my favorites. He's here with Tom Segura. What show is this from?
The cops did? The cops thought I was an undercover cop, so they were like, pull over, we got to chat. I look like a cop that much. They pulled me over, and I was like, what the fuck did I do wrong?
You were probably dressed like a kid who went to high school to buy drugs.
Yeah, for real. They pulled me over, and the guy goes, 369? And I was like, damn thing's fine. I thought he was, I swear to God, I thought he...
Look how long he is. Look how long.
Ask him what he would do as prime minister at his news conference this morning in order to secure the Strait of Hormuz. Now, he said the first thing he would do is get rid of liberal policies on gas taxes, but he then also addressed the Strait issue itself. Have a look.
Graphic Jucani on CBC News. If you were prime minister, what would you do about securing the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, the first thing I would do, why does the Strait of Hormuz matter? Because it's a shipping lane for energy. The most important thing we as Canadians could do is right here at home, which is to unblock our own energy. Frankly, our dollar should be at par today because oil prices are so high. But because Liberals have been attacking our energy sector, oil and gas is a much smaller part of our economy, and we're no longer insulated against global fluctuations in energy prices.
News. It's been revealed that Netanyahu had been paying Hamas $35 million a month leading up to the October 7th attacks and issued a stand-down order. We've got the receipts, and we're going to war for the guy with boots on the ground coming up soon. But at least you and I probably won't have to die for him. Just our children will.
Castlereagh prison where you go. You're put into prison if you stand up for prison truth. My son is in here in a prison cell, locked in with criminals.
My son.
Because he won't use the they pronoun. That's why my son is in here today. He won't call a young boy they. So you go to prison if you stand up for Christian truth. And it's a shame for the churches. Shame upon you, Eamon Martin. Shame upon you, gangster Don McDowell. Those primates of Ireland don't listen to a word they say. Because you're put into prison if you stand up for Christian truth. As they speak about Ukraine and the Middle East. Eamon Martin, talk about Castlereagh prison. Eamon
Most climate change activists, and they're very sincere about reducing carbon emissions, but they are, if you like, watermelons. You know, they conceal their socialist agenda beneath green skins. What you're hearing here from what you're hearing here from Naomi is that she's quite frank, that if we really want to decarbonise the global economy, we need to change the economic structure that has been in place for generations. And she's being intellectually honest. Now, my disagreement with her would be that this is a radical agenda. It's bad politics because it stands virtually no chance of gaining widespread support, not just here in Australia, but around the world, especially in those developing countries that are chugging along the smoky path to prosperity. And I think it's bad economics because, as unfashionable as it is to say so, history shows that capitalism, for all its flaws, is responsible for lifting so many people out of poverty. And if you undermine the capitalist system, you're going to entrench poverty, you're going to hurt malnutrition, preventable diseases, and many people would rightly say that is not just immoral, but wicked.
Naomi, you get to respond to that, and then I want to hear from the other panellists.
Look, you know, there's a reason why climate change denial is so strong on the right side of the political spectrum. I mean, all the polls show this, is that overwhelmingly those who adhere to a worldview which doesn't see a role for government, that believes that the market is always right, that people essentially deserve what they get, people who believe that overwhelmingly deny the reality of climate change, or, you know, say it's not such a big deal and they're not concerned about it. And the reason for that is that if the science is true, then their worldview collapses. So thank you for saying I'm intellectually honest.
John McDowell.
I mean, I think most...
Looking up this morning to the news of 4 astronauts jetting off into space just like they did in the 60s, but they're not going to land on the moon this time. Oh no, they're just going round it. All the while there's a fucking fuel crisis going on and I'm limited to how much diesel I put in my fucking car. Well, I tell you what, Artemis Prime, you can ram your rocket where the fucking sun don't shine. And if you want to know where that is, it's just behind the moon where you're supposedly going. A load of fucking shit. I can't even pick up a 5G signal when I'm in the bakery section in Lidl looking for my favourite glazed ring. Why don't you go and spend some money on the potholes and stop flying around the fucking moon? Who do you think you are?
Spy with my little eye, something beginning with.
Whether you like him or not, whatever, it was masterful. He turned right to Hillary and cut her off at the knees and said, Bill Clinton said worse to me on a golf course.
I forgot about that.
Oh my God. And I looked and I went, she just took this giant wind, this massive gust that was just filling up her sail. And she went,
but do you remember one other thing?
So good.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Paula Jones, Kathleen Willey,
they were all there.
Juanita Broderick walked in the room.
Yeah,
and they
were
did
there.
A press conference before.
That's right.
Remember?
Yes.
I mean, Trump's answer.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yes.
No, thank you.
No, come here.
Are you detaining me, sir?
Yes, I am. Stop.
For what crime?
Stop.
What is your reasonable, articulate? Do not touch me, sir.
Turn around.
For what have I done?
I'm detaining you. Turn around.
For what suspicion? What is your reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime?
Yeah, multiple calls about you.
Your RAS. Unbelievable. What is your RAS?
Ja, men alltså min son har blivit rånad 3 gånger. 2 gånger utav somalier och 1 gång ifrån araber. Och han är 19 år och han är ju mer eller mindre märkt för livet.
Do you read that? Oh my gosh. Things are bad all over, I guess.
Han vågar inte gå ut själv.
Who?
Eric, is this Fang Fang the Chinese spy, Eric? Remember when you slept with that Chinese spy, Eric? Why don't you ever talk about that, Fang Fang? Remember you're banging Fang Fang? Did she give you anal? People are saying that she gave you.
ਜੀ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰਜਾਈਨਾ ਸਸਕੈਚੁਅਨ ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਔਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ RCMP ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਅਫਸਰ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ 12 ਅਪ੍ਰੈਲ ਨੂੰ ਰਜਾਈਨਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰੇ 10 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 1 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਜਸਵਿੰਦਰ ਕੁਮਰਾਹਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਜਣੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੋਰ ਹੋਣੇ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਿਕਰੂਟਿੰਗ ਇਵੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜੋ ਜਸਵਿੰਦਰ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਹੋਵੇ ਮੈਂ ਜਸਵਿੰਦਰ ਦੱਸੂਗਾ ਮੋਰਾ
I think he just said he hopes the Maple Leafs do all right.
ای وای از یه جا بلند کردن اینا لانچه وای از زمین بلند شد.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
D'être sur la fusée et toutes les sensations de la fusée, c'était quelque chose incroyable. J'ai eu le...
Well, again, it'd be great if it wasn't in French.
Country that instead of tackling the root causes of division in society, instead of having the mettle to grab the nettle and say extreme Islamism is not welcome here, we will ban the burqa, we will ban FGM, and we will actually seek more than the 1 or 2 feeble prosecutions that are currently happening. We are going to ban cousin marriage. If we were to do that, that would be the greatest gift to the Muslim community.
What is going on at Stellantis at Brampton is the fact that the company decided to end production. And in that sense, that was completely unacceptable. I've been clear with the company and we will get our money back. Unless they bring back production. And if they bring back production, it must be along with the union and the province supporting their plan. And there are 3 conditions to bring back conditions for the federal government on our side. First, labor standards. Conditions for workers need to be good and actually the same they were and even better, first. Second, it needs to support the local supply chain. We can't bring cars in a kit to Canada. Why? Because one of the big parts of our auto industry is actually linked to the fact that we have a big auto parts sector, 200,000 workers. And we have the 3 biggest companies in the world in auto parts.
Uh-oh. A chick with a megaphone is never great.
This community, our children cannot afford to live here.
More than 100 people are at the Cowichan Valley Regional District headquarters calling for change.
I think it's a money grab. Because if you change the reasoning, you collect more taxes. Power overreach.
They're upset with the proposed comprehensive zoning bylaw, a 252-page document that outlines how people can use their property. Its rules range from fence sizes to parking requirements to RV usage and even how many chickens you can have on your property.
The bylaw that would affect me would be the chickens. I also raise chicks and chickens to sell. So that would not be allowed because you can only have 6 hens, no rooster.
Yesterday, more than 100 people also converged on the headquarters to let the regional district know they won't accept this bylaw as it stands.
I can't see the purpose of this. It doesn't improve anybody's lives. And I'm so disappointed in what is going on.
I don't see a lot of logic, and I mean, of course, you need rules and that sort of thing, of course. But at what human cost, I guess?
Passing a bylaw to limit people on what they can do in their backyards is a real risk to BC food security, especially on Vancouver Island.
Some suggesting that.
Talk you heard about 5G interfacing with the shots. It's true. DARPA research and the operational programs to infect us with remote controllable prion clusters in the brain before they even rolled out COVID. I just got chills. This is so evil. I mean, this is how you take it.
Say what you want about Alex Jones. He gets a lot of things right.
Feelings and breaking speech laws. On today's episode of I'm going to try and get myself kicked out of Canada by hurting politicians' feelings and breaking speech laws, I'm going to make fun of Toronto Mayor Cracky Chan. And if you're like, who's that? It's Olivia Chow. Let me show you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Toronto Mayor, Olivia Chow. Yeah, if you're like, what is that?
Yuck.
I don't know, man. Olivia Chow decided to spend $3 million of people's money, tax money, for harm reduction on something called booty bumping. Booty bumping kits. If you don't know what booty bumping kits are, it's also called boofing or hooping kits, and are harm reduction tools funded in part by Health Canada and distributed by community health organizations. They are designated for rectal administration of drugs as a safer alternative to injection or snorting. Yeah. Yeah. There's your tax money. Here's some booty bumping kits you can shove up your ass, literally and figuratively, I guess. But, you know, to no one's surprise, Cracky Chan also told ICE to stay out of Toronto. Yeah, ICE. Yeah. Immigration's Customs Enforcement of the United States. She thinks that they're going to come to Toronto.
What do you think about ICE coming to Toronto?
ICE have no place in this city. Toronto is about to welcome thousands and thousands of families because of FIFA World Cup, where everyone belongs, everyone's welcome. So stay out, ICE. We do not need you here.
It's just kidding. How are these people politicians?
I don't know. Good question.
Situation with the radicalization of the NDP. You saw the clips from their convention that we're not going to get.
You guys saw some of those clips, I'm sure. Like, what an insane convention. Like, what a bad advertisement for your company.
The vote split that we used to get between the NDP and the Liberals. If you look at any time when the Conservatives have formed a government in Ottawa, it's because the left split their vote. We're going to have a perpetual Liberal government now, because so few people are going to vote for the extremists and the crazies, literally, in the NDP. There's almost no hope that the Conservatives are going to take power. And as a result, the ideologues know that. They're going to stay in power, and they can continue to play these games to the detriment of Albertans, our children, and our children's future. So please read the article below. It's encouraging that more and more oil companies are speaking truth to power, that we need. And remember this, Mark Carney could lift each one of these laws literally with the stroke of a pen, but refuses to do so. And that's why when it comes to October 19th, you need to vote yes for independence. And in the meantime, explain to your friends and everyone you know why they will have a prosperous future under an independent Alberta, and a very dark one if we don't leave.
What Trump and Israel say and what calls they make for a ceasefire. You know, because Trump says, we've got a ceasefire or I'm going to escalate. And the Iranians are saying, well, if you escalate, we will escalate in kind. And we will target the things that you target. You can stop this by simply capitulating to our 5 demands, and you can stop this war tomorrow. But Trump won't do that, because to do
we're going to rail against equalization at the federal level, then we can't keep doing the same thing to our municipalities. I think that Mayor Jody Gondek has a great point. I've looked at it too. The amount of money that gets taken out of Calgary in education property taxes versus what gets transferred back in municipal grants. There was a policy debate years ago in when Lyle Oberg was running for the leadership of the PCs about leaving the education property tax in the city where it's generated. And at the time, it was $1.2 billion. And if we had done that and just allowed it to grow with the growth in the various communities, that education property tax is now generating $2.4 billion. So are we just going to keep on doing this, having all that money go into general revenues, or are we going to actually finally develop a fair deal for our cities? If we're
even more fraught and in Asia,
Well, I don't know what that is.
Sean O'Malley with City News. Did your government campaign on restricting books? Did your government campaign on you taking authority over the conduct of municipal officials?
I'm sorry, this is for journalists today. Is that seriously a question from the media?
I'm asking you a question. Did you campaign on the moves you're making today?
We campaign explicitly on parental choice and authority. We've done that for 2 campaigns in a row. We've won majorities both times as a result of it. And there is nothing out of line about saying that pornography is inappropriate for children to be consuming under the age of 18. If your 7-year-old were to consume this, Sean, would you find that that is an appropriate thing for them to be doing?
I asked you if you campaigned on it.
And I answered that, and I asked you if you think
ban the pride flag, and you don't have the guts to just say we want to ban the pride flag. Why don't you just ban the pride flag? What school's name offended you so much? Was it Michael Fair's school because you don't want to name a school after a gay guy? Was it Nelson Mandela School because, well, you know? Are we going to have the Sam Raish School of Finance and Ethics sometime soon here? Then her answer was really weird. This is about safety in schools. We don't want people to be triggered by the name of the school and become violent. Like, sorry, what? They removed the word welcoming, as in schools have to be welcoming, and they removed the word diverse. Do you want to be not welcoming to gay kids or immigrant kids or kids with disabilities? I speak English, and these words don't make sense to me. If this was really a bill about school safety,
oops. Sorry, gang. Let's drop over to YouTube and see what's going on over here.
Is that it's much easier to be against a project before it begins than to be against a project that's already begun and has its proponents and has people who have actually signed contracts and have agreements, and you have shovels in ground and people who are benefiting from the employment inflow as a consequence of the spend. So to oppose a project in the beginning, to rescue those dollars, to repatriate those dollars for repurposing in other ways, like through tax relief, is kind of an easy way to do it without really hurting anybody. And the third reason that Pierre can do this or make this sort of pitch is to the point that you just made in the phrasing of your question, which is that since Pierre made his comments, I haven't really noticed a swell of...
All right, gang, we're going to cross over to this. I think this might be interesting. We've got Lisa Raitt.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael. Is concerned about Canadian prosperity. Formed in 2021, its purpose is to rally decision makers to work together with the argument that we like social progress.
Let's get into it.
Going to have to step out their brilliant economy.
I guess time to execute, up our game. If you want to divert our trade to different countries, then we really have to be hustling. And that's what it comes down to. It's not complacency, and it's not enough to be nice, and it's not enough to be not the United States.
Okay, listen, I'm going to pick up on that because I did try to book you for primetime politics a few weeks back, and you couldn't attend because you were in Singapore.
I was.
And you were there for the Canada in Asia conference.
That's right.
So talk to us about what you heard at that conference, because you say you can't just walk in, but at the same time, there is interest in Canada if Canada can meet the moment, correct?
There is interest in Canada. So we've got a great narrative so far. Our reputation is we are safe, we are trustworthy, we are rule of law. That's great. But they also want to know, well, what are you going to do for me? Because, it's not just enough to say you want our goods. They have to say, okay, well, are you going to invest in our country? Are you going to help us create jobs? Are you going to do something for us? That's where the government comes in. But the opportunity is immense. I mean, the population size, the number of people going into the middle class. And a great statistic we heard today, as you know, was think about how the world has changed from what our grandparents used to buy and what we buy today. That's exactly the same transition that's happening in India as the economy moves from being more on the development side as opposed to middle class, where's exactly where they're heading. The tastes and what they want to purchase changes. We should be part of selling those goods to India, but we got to be there now, and we got to show that we can deliver to them on the timeline that makes sense for them.
Okay, Anne?
That is a really important point, because I think absolutely Canada, as the PM says, Canada has what the world wants and needs, but we have to be reliable, right? People have to be be able to look at this country and say that you have the supply chains within the country to get the product we're buying to port, and that the port is not on strike or shut down, or that the railways have the infrastructure they need to move the product to the port. And our report speaks to the fact that this reliability, we have had so many shutdowns of key infrastructure lately over the past couple of years, that in fact people looking into the country from outside will ask the question, are you actually reliable suppliers of what we want to buy from you? And I think that's a key question that we're going to have to address going forward. And there are no easy answers to that.
Yeah, so obviously it will involve government. It'll involve examining the regulations that exist, but it also involves the private sector. And I want to read here a statement that I pulled from the report. This is page 4 of the scorecard report. For those of you that have a copy, quote, ultimately the heaviest responsibility rests with the private sector. While the current environment is highly uncertain given the geopolitical context, it is up to corporate boards and management to move beyond hesitation and embrace the risks required for genuine innovation. So this is an appeal to the private sector, but I've heard this appeal to the private sector for decades now, that they have not been investing enough in this country. They would rather invest outside of this country. How do you turn that around?
You make their dollar that they want to invest have a good ROI. That's what it is. And we have great products.
Return on investment.
And that's what we have in this country. We have great products. We have an incredible workforce. We are safe, secure, rule of law, all those great things. Yes, they should be investing here in Canada, but when we make it too hard for them to do so, then they're going to put their money elsewhere. They're going to send it to the United States, or they're going to send it anywhere else. I do believe that Canadian companies are very patriotic, and they do want to do business here, but sometimes governments, including hers and mine and the ones that we have now, make it a little too hard for them to be able to do those kinds of things. And their directors and their shareholders say, why don't you find somewhere else to invest? And I look at our pension plans. You know, they don't invest a heck of a lot here in Canada. Why? Because we don't have the projects for them to invest in. Well, we should have the projects for them to invest in.
And that goes to another aspect of regulation. You talk about health and safety and the
All right, guys, we're going to flip it back to something a little more fluid. Let's hop over here. Whoops. What just happened there? No, we didn't want that. That's not what we were trying to do. Sorry, we'll get this back on track. Let's get this going again. Oh, Lord. That's, oh, that. Sorry, gang. I apologize. I've never been hung up like this before. We'll get this back on track here, guys. Well, what a mess that was. Lord.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have, Lexi? A little wiener dog, and what better dog to throw in a fucking oven? I'm gonna take them boiling up here. I don't know what the yelling's all about. I took a shirt off. Maybe if you're gonna yell, maybe this. I mean, fuck. I have a wiener dog too, Lexi.
Oh, well.
We have illegal immigrants that are documented on record. The reason that they are documented as illegal is because they came in on visas that expired because their legal immigration court date was so far behind, because we have only 70 court immigrations in the entire country. And because they can't get a court date on time, their visas expire. And the second that they expire, then they are treated as legal immigrants.
I understand that it might be frustrating to come here with a legal visa and then not be able to get your court date and have to return. But that's the law.
But they can't travel.
Well, wait a second. No, they can go back to their own country. They can go back to their own country. It's frustrating, right? I understand. I am sympathetic to the person that says, I want to come here, I want to be productive, right? And I want to become an American citizen, but it's difficult because there aren't enough court dates. Well, then you and I might.
Did you draw the swastika sign?
Yes.
You did? Is it pretty hard to do that?
To draw a couple lines? No.
No. Do you feel pretty good when you draw swastika signs?
Yeah, as a law enforcement officer, you can go.
Well, I'm in a public space, right?
Yeah.
Are you in a public space?
Let's go. Let's go to talk to the
Hey,
Secret
don't touch
Service.
me.
Let's
Don't
go.
touch me.
Let's go.
Please don't touch me.
Let's go in. So you don't have a right, though, to come over and bother us.
I have every right because in a public space, right? Are you in a public space?
We had a question. She answered.
Do
you have a brain? You're
Are you in
actually
a
butting
public
in our
space?
conversation, bud.
Can you please get out of my way? Thank you.
I got you on the bottom, though. You can't get top and bottom, baby.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, get a
What
life.
Israeli tattoo on your forearm. I really hope I'm not debating a Mossad agent today.
This is Hosea 4:6. Did Mossad write the Bible? My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Now let's talk about Aisha. You say she hit puberty?
Yes. She
What's
did hit
the
puberty.
research that shows that?
The research shows that there are hadith mentioned where she played with dolls. Older than 16 years old are not allowed to play with dolls. She was older than 16.
Wait a minute. Wait. If she played with dolls, that means she's younger than that.
No, she wasn't a child because it was allowed in the household.
Does the prophet let her sin then? Because it's forbidden to play with dolls if you're a teenager.
No, but here's
so
the
let
problem.
her sin?
Here's the problem.
You let her sin, right?
Don't ask me a question that you're not going to like the answer to.
I'm giving you plenty of good answers.
No.
Have you heard of the study Evolution, Development, and the Timing of Puberty, which shows that in the Middle Ages and the medieval period, it's impossible, biologically speaking, for a girl to have reached the age of menarche by the age of 9. The earliest it started was 11.
You're telling me that Aisha radiallahu anha was 9 years old?
Yeah, that's what the hadith says, 5134 of Sahih al-Bukhari.
Are you ready to stand on Judgment Day to prove that to God?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Michael. Debating you was probably the easiest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, you did so well.
This is the darkest of conspiracy theories. The darkest of conspiracy theories was that the leak was intentional. The darkest of conspiracy theories is that this was planned. They knew this is going to be a financial windfall. It is the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the United States by far, from the working class to the elite. It's like $3+ trillion or something crazy like that.
Yep.
We've already established that it was created in a lab. We already established that USAID funded it. We already established that Fauci et al. Lied about gain-of-function research, what they were doing. The worst theory possible is that this was released on purpose.
Yeah, that would be the worst case scenario. Yeah.
Have you ever danced that one around your head? Because that's where we know they're willing to do horrible, evil shit. But, like, is there a ceiling on that?
Even now to this day, having spent so much of my life in it, I try to just pursue the leads that I have and then try to let the conclusions come to me. Certainly the fact that they funded the capacity to do this, they work directly with all the networks that were both doing it and censoring it, puts you pretty much as, you know, they created it and they covered up at least the leak. In terms of the
do you think it was leaked on purpose? Like, that's pretty crazy, like, to think, but well, how about that? I don't know. Seems set up.
Disturbing headlines I've ever seen. The headline about Charlie Kirk.
I've not really looked at Dan Bongino's face since he's been deputy head of the FBI. And he looks different, doesn't he? He looks a bit worn out. Like, my friend one time told me that he was once doing a farm visit. And on that farm visit, there were trays of chicks. Young hens, little yellow chicks, this being Easter and all. And he said that in one of the trays, all the chicks was alive. And in the other tray, the chicks were all dead. And he said, to amuse himself, he picked up one of the living chicks chicks and showed it all of the dead chicks and then put it back with the living chicks. I reckon that chick looks how Dan Bongino looks now. Like he's just...
Foreigner. Am I a foreigner?
Are you a foreigner?
Am I a foreigner?
You answer the question.
You said that we are spending billions of pounds on foreigners on universal credit.
Yeah.
I have been here.
foreign nationals.
I have lived here for 13 and a half years.
Right.
I'm not a British citizen because applying for a British citizenship costs £2,000.
Well, perhaps you should invest in that then.
And I did not have £2,000 lying around.
Have you got it
now?
now? You should do it.
I do not have a British citizenship. Tell me, if I fall sick tomorrow and I cannot work, should I be allowed to claim benefits?
No.
You think I should not be allowed to claim benefits? No. At what point do you believe that a person like me has sufficiently worked for long enough, paid into the tax system for long enough, to deserve to not go homeless, to not be able to pay for my rent or for my food?
That's a very simple answer to that question. That is, as soon as you want to become a citizen. So pay your $2,000 to become a citizen.
Wait a minute.
Do you have an affinity with Britain?
You know that I do.
Well, if you do, then why haven't you become a citizen? Listen, you can't have. Listen, this is what I see. Yeah, you want the benefits of being a citizen of this country, and you qualify to do that. Then pay for it. That's what happens. In other countries, you don't get anything. If you're a foreign national suffering in those countries, go to the US.
And is that?
Hang on, let me finish. Sorry, you go to the US, you suffer. You're a foreign national. They say, well, you should have insurance.
They have really good hair straighteners now.
Church of England is King Charles. Do you think he does enough to promote Christianity in the country and on the world stage?
So I think it comes down to optics with King Charles, in that it looks like, perception-wise, he's doing more for Islam than he is for Christianity. So I would say, as the king, the head of the state of the Church of England, I'd say he's, from my point of view, doing a bad job at promoting Christianity.
Well, there you go. I don't think that's a safe game to be playing.
How many of you were born in Alberta? How many of you just moved here and think you could decide the fate of a province? How long of you have lived here for more than 10 years? Not many, right?
Pick me. I want to answer this, okay? I was not born in Alberta. That's the big story going on. It's all over my comments. People are losing their minds. I moved to Alberta in 1989. I was 3.5 years old. I never attended school or kindergarten in Ontario, where I was born, Northern Ontario, in the bush, middle of nowhere. Yeah, ever. I attended all my schooling right here in Alberta, Hinton, Alberta. I was brought up in an oil patch town, coal mining town, pulp mill town, and I was brought up with Alberta values and Alberta beliefs. But here's the thing that I don't understand about your shitty video.
He's wearing his own hat. That's a bit much over the top.
And the TV is highly stereotypical, homogeneous, and ideological. And that and what the results of that will be, I'm not quite sure. I do think that it is worth noting that the most powerful medium in the history of the world is controlled by a very small, idiosyncratic, homogeneous group of people. I mean, I think if the...
You mean the people who write
the people who write and produce for TV. What I notice on television is that there are certain characteristics that certain people, certain stereotypical people have on television. For instance, all businessmen, if it's an adventure show, are evil, murderous, hypocritical, cheating scoundrels. If it's a situation on television...
She wants to know if you know a businessman who is not a murderer.
Thank you very much.
That, it seems to me, is not a true delineation of them. And similarly, on television, all small towns are evil, vicious places where the big city innocent goes, his car breaks down, and he gets caught in a web of murder and kidnapping and extortion. And all military men are, if it's an adventure show, are planning for a neo-Nazi takeover, and if it's a sitcom, they're buffoons. On crime shows, the criminal is almost always a middle-class, so well-to-do person of the majority group. There are almost no poor people portrayed as committing crimes. The criminals, even if a poor person has committed a crime, he has been forced into doing it by a businessman or some other middle-class seeming person. There are no useful or vital religious figures on television. They're all either buffoons or kind of helpless fuddy-duddy.
It's pretty funny. Fuddy-duddy.
Arrested for expressing freedom of speech. I currently am wearing a sign which says that the trans flag, which is included in the Pride demonstration at great lengths, equals mental illness, which is greatly the case. That is why young people have been mutilated. That is why young people have been, and that's why the Tavistock clinic was closed down for mutilating young people. I'm now going to be searched. Apparently I'm provoking, apparently what I'm doing is harmful. I've done nothing wrong. I've exercised my right to demonstrate. I've exercised my right to protest. I've exercised my inalienable rights, God-given. The UK used to be free. Did you remember those times? But in lockdown, we didn't see that, did we? We saw the police behave horrifically. We see what the police are doing now, cuffing me for what? Freedom.
An extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrested a journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest.
All right. Yeah, gang, we're going to wrap it up there. My name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney. Thank you all for tuning in. Great to see everybody. Trees. I saw James Fahey in here. As always, Rhonda, Rory, my man Kirk. Much appreciated. I saw James in here. KLB, what's up? Vince New Scotland. Mark Bradley. I think I said hi to Trees. What's up? Randy from the Peg. What's going on? John Gonzalez. I think. Crasher, good to see you. Come by chance, what's up? Yeah, gang, so I'm doing these shows. I'm going to do a few more because, like, they have not been sitting in Parliament. It's very frustrating. And, well, it affects my schedule quite a bit, like, and what I'm going to do or whatever. I like doing these shows. They're kind of fun. Like, I don't really hang out on X very much, but I'm going to a little more to find out where to go and find cool videos right away to show the group. Anyhow, that's it. Aaron, Canadian Looney, smash the like. It's great to see everybody. If you're new to the chat room or new to the channel, jump in the chat room. We've got an amazing community, really cool bunch of people. That's it. We're going to wrap up right there. Thank you all. That's it. We'll catch you tomorrow. There should be some more news coming down the pipes for Sunday, you'd think. Back in the day, that's the way it always was. Anyhow.